Today, we're diving deep into a world that is, well, it's equal parts absolutely breathtaking and entirely terrifying. We're heading up to the soaring altitudes of Nepal to check out the Himalayan cliff roads. You might have heard them called the Iron Veins, and it's a massive, sprawling network of super treacherous dirt tracks. For most of us, a rough daily commute is what? Sitting in traffic or hitting a bad pothole? But for the drivers navigating these high-altitude passes, their commute is literally a daily negotiation with gravity and the totally unforgiving elements of the tallest mountain range on Earth. So today, we're unpacking exactly how these roads function, why they're so incredibly perilous, and why, despite those massive risks, they're absolutely essential for human survival out there.
Right off the bat, we're confronting routes that have universally earned a truly terrifying reputation. Documentaries and researchers routinely label these paths as the world's most dangerous roads. And let me be super clear here. This isn't just some sensationalist hyperbole to get clicks. No way. This title is earned through a genuinely harrowing daily reality. These routes push human survival, vehicular endurance, and just sheer psychological willpower to their absolute limits. It's crucial to remember that for the drivers out there, this isn't some extreme adventure sport or a thrilling weekend getaway, right? It's a grueling, necessary job, performed in an environment that is actively hostile to them even being there.
So let's jump right into Section 1, Uncovering the Iron Veins, the metaphor of the mountains. It's fascinating because we don't just look at these routes as just dirt, crumbling stone and gravel. Instead, they are this vital, pulsing lifeline for the people of Nepal. They're called the iron veins because, honestly, much like the veins in our own bodies that pump oxygen to keep our organs going, these fragile, treacherous dirt roads carry the food, medicine, and building materials that literally keep remote mountain villages alive. Think about it. If a mudslide severs one of these veins, the community at the end of it essentially begins to starve. This metaphor just perfectly captures both the total fragility and the absolute non-negotiable necessity of these routes. That brings us to Section 2, Anatomy of Extreme Danger, Why These Roads Are Deadly. Just picture a standard highway for a second. You've got smooth pavement, sturdy steel guardrails, nice wide lanes, engineered with a comfortable margin of error, right? If you drift a little bit, you just hit a rumble strip. Now, I want you to strip all of that away. The Himalayan cliff road offers absolutely zero margin for error. You're dealing with crumbling rock that can just give way under the sheer weight of a transport truck's tire. Forget about guardrails to stop a plunging vehicle. You've just got sheer drops of thousands of feet, and the passes, they are so claustrophobically narrow that two vehicles often can't even pass each other without one having to back up right along the edge of a precipice. The contrast is just staggering. It's this clash of modern, calculated engineering up against raw, untamed nature. And you know what? The physical road itself is honestly only half the battle here. Imagine you're navigating this narrow pass of crumbling gravel, hands gripping the wheel, and then you face a sudden mudslide that just washes away the route right around a terrifying blind corner. On top of that, you have unpredictable rockfalls cascading from the slopes above, literally threatening to crush your vehicle, all while you're inching along this vertigo-inducing sheer drop. The pacing of the danger here is absolutely relentless. It mimics this constantly increasing heart rate for anyone behind the wheel. You aren't just driving, you're having to actively anticipate the mountain's next move. Every single journey is this massive, high-stakes roll of the dice against the elements. Okay, moving on to Section 3, Lifelines of the Himalayas, the necessity of the journey. As you'd expect, the drivers navigating these routes express a very real, totally rational fear. One driver put it perfectly, saying, "The drop is thousands of feet. One slip of the tire, one loose rock, and you are gone. The fear never leaves you." They know exactly what the stakes are, guys. They're staring down these sheer drops constantly. So these aren't just adrenaline junkies totally devoid of fear. These are everyday people who possess a profound, hard-earned respect for the lethal nature of the mountain. The psychological toll of gripping a steering wheel for hours on end, knowing that a single micro miscalculation means certain death, it's immense. That fear is essentially a permanent passenger in every single truck cabin. But despite that constant, totally suffocating terror, traversing these routes is an absolute necessity if these isolated communities are going to survive. The stark, undeniable reality driving these men and women forward is simply this: if we do not drive, our people do not eat. That's it. There are no alternatives, safe routes hidden down in the valleys. There are no cargo helicopters making daily supply drops to these remote villages. The only way bulk supplies, heating oil, and basic essential sustenance actually reach these high-altitude populations is via these crumbling cliff edges. These drivers push past their paralyzing fear because they're literally carrying the weight of entire communities right there in their cargo beds.
Which brings us to Section 4, weighing the ultimate risk, the cost of logistics.
It is a pretty brutal paradox when you really think about it. You have this extreme mountain isolation, right? And that forces communities to carve a route through hostile, deadly terrain simply to stay connected. Now, while these newly forged roads do successfully allow essential goods to be transported to sustain life up in the high peaks, the ultimate cost is that the drivers have to risk absolutely everything on a daily basis. The death trap itself is the lifeline. You just cannot have the survival of the village without the mortal peril of the driver. It's this closed, really harrowing loop of extreme risk and necessary survival. To wrap up our explainer today, I really want to leave you pondering this tension. Is the vital necessity of modern connectivity actually worth this extreme mortal danger? When we buy goods or think about modern logistics, we usually just picture next-day shipping and these automated robotic warehouses. But the iron veins of the Himalayas remind us that in some parts of the world, the true cost of logistics is still measured in profound human bravery and absolute ultimate risk. So the next time you marvel at the majestic beauty of the highest mountains on Earth, remember the terrifying, hidden human cost of surviving among them.